Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Deep Thoughts. And today we are finally here. It is time to talk about Astra Lost in Space, or Kanata no Astra, episode 12, the grand finale, Friendship. Now I know we're all probably feeling a little bit emotional right now, but before we dive into all of those feelings, as always, I want to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter, namely at Ordinary Extreme, at MizVich2nd, at PokeTroll4, at YandereLover5, at CatPassTweet, and at Ginkotaku. Thank you all so much for sharing last week's video, and I was about to say if you wanted to get your name in next week's Astra video, but sadly there is no Astra video next week. I'm really emotional about it. But hey, if you still wanted to share this week's video, I'd really appreciate that. But without further ado, we are going to dig into this week's episode, this grand finale, and we got a couple things to touch on. One, we got to talk about the friendship aspect of the episode. We got to talk about Planet Galeem a little bit, the last planet we really get a look at. We have to talk about the secrets of Astra, because there are a lot. We got to talk about the trip back to Earth, and finally, we have to talk about 7 years later. Now, let's go ahead and we'll go... You know, I was going to go in order, but I don't really know how to even really... Well, I should go in order just for the sake of keeping it sane, but all I want to do is talk about the last couple of minutes of the episode because it was great. But I think just overall, I'll talk about the whole friendship angle. It's the title of the episode, The Friendship, in the most cheesiest, punniest way it possibly could. Pun game strong in this week's episode, apparently. I appreciate it as a lover of puns. But yeah, it is just a very fitting title, as the friendship of these characters is what ultimately shapes not just the show itself, but planet Astra itself, as this whole journey will not only affect these characters going forward, as we saw 7 years later, and likely many, many years into the future, but also shaped the future of their planet, which is a lot. Even at the beginning of the episode, the whole crew reacts appropriately to Shars and Kanata. Like the whole, like they're still pissed. They're still mad because, you know, Shars almost killed them all and resulted in Kanata losing his arm. But at the same time, they're not like I said from last week, they're not gonna give up on him. They're friends. Like, they're just pissed. And it's that kind of writing where, like, yes, I'm mad at you, but I don't want you to disappear. I don't want you to go away. I'm just mad at what you've done. Like, you hurt our boy. And they really do stress, too, how Kanata, like, brought everyone together. And, like, he truly is the captain of this crew. And how am I going to talk about this week's episode? I still can't. I'm, like, well into this video, and I just can't do it. Even the way the crew reacts with Polina, who did enter the show late, for sure, but at the same time still feels just as much a member of the Astra crew as anybody else. They even tease her when they find out that she's actually like 140-something years old, which was genuinely pretty funny. But yeah, it's... I don't know. And it's not just the friendships either, it's the ships. The ships are strong with this one. They are strong as hell by the time we get back to Earth. Like, even before the 7-year jump, the ship, you could tell that, like, the ships themselves, not just the Astra, but I mean, like, the relationships are going to be strong going forward. And I don't just mean the OTPs either. I do, of course, mean the bro TPs as well, like between Zack and Kanata and Shars, although I know some people ship Kanata and Shars, and I don't blame you. But I'm more of a Ares and Kanata guy, and you know what? Screw it. I'm going to jump all over the freaking place in this video. I don't care. Ares and Kanata! They got together. I'm so happy. Oh, I am so happy. I was so concerned that they wouldn't get together. I don't know why I was worried that they wouldn't, because the whole show was like leading up to it. But I had this moment where we were flashing forward and seeing everybody's lives, and I was like, maybe they won't end up together. Like, maybe they'll go realistic with it, where just Kanata was just too focused on being an adventurer, and Ares was gonna go off and do her own thing, and maybe they won't get together. Can't even words right now, but they do. They get together, and I am so friggin' overjoyed about it. I love these two. They are my possibly one of my couples of the season, if not my OTP of the year. I love these two. They better be in the running for you guys too, or I'm going to be real salty. Along with Quinteri and Zach as well, because that's also a top quality, top tier ship. Like I said, the ships are strong in this show. And let's go ahead and talk about the flash forward too, because everybody in the flash forward is looking dope. The older character designs are fantastic. And let's go ahead and talk about Olger too, because I want to quickly mention the fact that my angsty boy actually makes it a point to go confront his dad, quote unquote. And that confrontation scene was intense. Now, Olger's a character who I've really grown. He's the one who grew on me the most, because at the start of the show, he was the one I felt the most indifferent towards. And now here, he's one of my favorite characters. And having him confront his dad and saying, like, you got my brother killed over a secret that didn't deserve, like, wasn't it, you should never have traded his life for this. And the dad, he agrees to an extent, but he's still just scum, and even says, like, if only that ship wasn't there. And it's like, damn. But at the same time, Olger got that off his chest, and the fact that, like, when he puts on the hat, you see Funi's, like, the star from Funi, it's like now embedded into the hat, because that's like the impact that the crew has had on him, and it's just good stuff. The only thing that kind of bummed me out with Olger, because he does become a reporter, which I'm happy about, but the only thing that bummed me out with Olger is that he didn't get together with Luca, which I was really hoping for. I was really pulling for Luca. It seems like he got together with Polina, which is like weird. I'm not super on board with that. Like, Funi, who looks identical to Quinteri because they're clones, but it really did throw me off for a second. I'm like, she looks just like, oh yeah, that's right. But Funi points out, like, are you guys going on a date? Like, what? Like, and even I was like, no, they can't be. But the show never really addresses it. So are they together? That's weird. I don't know how I feel about that. I wanted Olga to get together with Luca real bad. But that's okay. I could. You gave me Ares and Kanata. I'm okay with that. If you don't want to fulfill all the ships, I'm okay with that. I'm also kind of bummed because Yunhwa and Shars didn't become a thing. I liked Yunhwa and Shars. I thought they were cute. That never happened. But Yunhwa does become a big time singer, which I super appreciate, because that's the whole purpose of her character, you know. And she even makes the song. She names the song after what the book that Kanata writes that saves the world. Can I point out that Kanata writes a book that saves the world? This ending is the happiest friggin' ending it possibly could be. This is like the Bill and Ted of anime, where it just ends on the happiest possible note that it can until Bill and Ted 3 comes out and we find out that it wasn't that happy. Anyway, I'm making a weird tangent. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a moment to talk about the whole secrets of Astra and the Back to Earth thing, because I'm sure people want to like talk a little bit about that. It's what we learn is that I will say this is the only part of the episode that actually I was like, I don't like that much. And it is when you find out how they like erased the memory of Earth, because it's not so much that they erased it, it's that Earth was set back, or they rewound history 100 years and to explain like the jump in technology and stuff, and the explanation is complex. And like I genuinely was confused and had to rewind the episode, and even in the show itself they acknowledge that this is really complex and weird, and then I just kind of found it hard to believe that the entire populace would not tell their kids what happened. Like, I just find that really hard to believe. It's not like a knock against the show. I mean, it kind of is. I just found like that was the only part of the episode besides the Polina and Olga thing, although that's just personal preference, but that was the only part of the episode that I was like, nah, I don't agree with that. That's a little odd. But at the same time, it does hammer home the whole, you are not your past, you're not your family, you're not the way you were raised, you're not the society you were raised in, you're your own person. That seems to be the overall theme of the entire show. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've talked about that multiple times now in these videos. But the Secrets of Astra does lean itself really heavily into that theme, so I can't necessarily fault it. I just thought it was a little kind of goofy. But everything else about the trip back to Earth was friggin' phenomenal. Ares' mom coming to the rescue was great. It totally fulfills that character arc. Not character arc, but she's almost like a Chekhov's gun, but as a character. since Aries' mom wasn't in on the whole, I mean, she was in on the whole clones thing, but like not that everybody was a clone. Like she knew that Aries herself was a clone of Sarah. You know what I mean? Like she was the only good one, or at least one of the few. So having Aries' mom be the one who like rescues the crew was dope. I wish we knew more about Officer Grace, because they just sort of throw this character at us last second. But hey, man, he arrests the king and that other guy who killed Sarah, which also I felt was like, oh, okay, that was kind of quick. I guess even for a 40-minute episode, there are things that I'm like, oh, okay, that was all right. Officer Grace, this other Vix character, okay, like the one who killed Sarah. I thought the person who killed Sarah would be a bigger reveal. It was just sort of like another member of the family, which is like, okay, that's not bad. It's just my own expectations that kind of bummed me out. But yeah, like the rest of the Back to Earth stuff is great. Seeing that the crew become mini celebrities is like fantastic. I thought that was like, and totally genuine. Like, of course that would happen. Of course this crew would become insanely popular. Of course, like, and Kanata's book is like the catalyst that rallies mankind. After mankind, of course, the truth comes out. Kanata and Sharsa are like, if you don't tell the planet, we will. And there's reporters and police officers and bureaus of investigation that are already like in on, like, about to crack the secret. You better tell everybody before we do. And so when the secret comes out, of course, people are like anti-government. They're pissed off. They're confused. But Kanata's book about the crew actually rallies mankind. Like Kanata's blind confidence, his total like I don't know, just hard-headed attitude of like, no, we're gonna get through this together, like actually rallies mankind and keeps the peace and everything in a post-truth planet Astra, which is so goofy but so Astra, and I love it. And there's tons of stuff that I didn't get to mention. Again, this is a 40-minute long finale to the show, and it's just like Shar's becoming king. I didn't even really get to talk about that, but I love that. Quateri becoming a model is hilarious, but becoming a model that Shars is more popular than, even still, especially after he becomes king. It's the happiest possible ending it could have been. And I'm sure some people are going to call it cheese, but you know what? I like a cheesy, happy ending sometimes. And I don't know, it to quote Thanos, this put a smile on my face. I could keep going, but honestly at this point, I'd just be rambling, and editing this thing is probably going to be a mess. I will say, if you guys do want to hear some more of my thoughts, as well as my friend's thoughts on Astra Lost in Space, we are likely going to be talking all about it in an upcoming summer anime wrap-up stream. That's going to be happening, I believe, on Sunday. So stay tuned for that. But on that note, everybody, those are going to be my final deep thoughts on Astra Lost in Space. I'm going to give this episode a solid A grade. There are things there are things about the ending that I felt were maybe like a little kind of like random or goofy or like went too quick, but overall it is such a good finale. I'm not going to lie, I got pretty emotional by the end. I was all misty-eyed. It is such a fun, happy ending, and the show overall is so good, so underrated. Please, guys, if you love the show as much as I do, spread the word. Astra is so underrated and totally deserves way more attention. But hey, before we wrap up today's video, as always, I have to give a big shout out to the good folks over on Patreon, namely those in the Earl Grey tier: Calvin Atkinson, Crowbar of Irony, Dominic, Urza, Ginkotaku, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Mirth Mouser, Nye, Omner Garamond, Cell, Shadow Creative, Sipco Games, Somastan, Steven, Tristan, and Veridin. Thank you guys so much for your continued support over on Patreon, and if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then by all means, you go ahead and check out the first link in the description to check out our Patreon page, see all the cool rewards you can get over there, as well as access to our Patreon exclusive Discord. But on that note, everybody, that is going to be the final Astra video, so I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, you've probably been on the internet long enough to know what to do already, so I ain't going to tell you, but I will say that it is appreciated. And if you are feeling stressed out today, then you go have yourself a warm cup of tea, and I will talk to you all again real soon.